Let's go. Welcome back to the All-Purpose Pod for an all-purpose life, wherever you are and however you're listening to the Call Me Mr. You, the podcast. We thank you again for making us a part of your morning, your day, and your week. We're your weekly mirror check before you go change the world. The guys are in our house. We got a special guest, Mr. Travis Holmes, in the house. Good morning, fella.
Good morning. Good morning. Hey, early morning too, man. Y'all get at it. I love it.
That's how we do it, baby. Trust me, we in here early. Cup of Joe, we run it.
That's right.
Herb having some internet issues, so he couldn't be here with us, but Herb is in the comments section, rocking and rolling with his brother Raj. They do the Herb and Raj podcast every Tuesday, 9 p.m. EST on your YouTube channels, and of course on Twitter as well. So they're out here representing the comment section for us. So we appreciate you guys. Love you. Hope you guys are safe out there where you are. And good morning, Raj, the other half of the Herb and Raj podcast. Good morning. And of course, the obligatory roll tide must be added. You will never leave that out under any circumstance.
Right.
We know who you rep, brother. There's no question about that, man. But how was you guys' weekend, man? Anything of note to report, to share? Anything fun to talk about?
Just doing a lot of business meetings, hanging out with people I haven't seen in a long time. I mean, that's always been a little great, but no, just family stuff and business and a little bit of business stuff juggling in between it, you know.
Yeah, I'm with you on that one, brother. Oh, how about you, brother?
Just continuing this move thing. So starting to unload these boxes and Yeah.
I hope you're already in already. You should be more than halfway through, right?
Oh, yeah. We're more than halfway through. It just everything's still a disaster because so here's the thing, right? Like we moved back from
positive, brother.
Right? And then we were staying with the in-laws. So moving into this place, we didn't own furniture anymore, right? So
that makes sense.
So it's not like you were going to drag furniture between Mexico and here. So moving into a spot, it's like, okay, well, anything we were going to get for here, we're not going to take to our next place, right? When we finally get back into our own house. So it's like, okay, we're just picking stuff up off of like Facebook Marketplace and stuff like that, and so it makes the process take longer. So because I mean, we had most of our stuff, but since we didn't have furniture, it's like, okay, well, now we have to have all those things here, then go find furniture to then put those things in it. So it's been a process. Prime example, I'm in the middle of putting the office here together, so I don't have my green screen today, which is why you see stuff behind me.
That's all right. It looks great.
Yeah, no, it's getting there. It's getting there. I'm really ready to be done moving. That is the main takeaway. Few things in the world that I just I'd rather somebody else do it. Put it like 100%, yes.
Not me. I'm saying not me, but it's all good, man. But I spend my weekend hanging out with my Second Amendment loving friends, and we're out there with a little pew pew and a pop, and I had me a good.
Nice.
That's my therapy, baby. So I'm repping Vortex optics out here today too. So there'll be much more to come, much more repping going on, man. All right, so we got some folks chiming in. Good morning, Chad. Good to see you in the house, man. Last week, man, you killed it with your comments, man. So I know you got plenty coming in this morning. We're excited to hear from you, Chad. Thanks for joining us, man. All right, so did you guys watch any March Madness? Tell me you guys watched at least one game. Did you guys see the Houston game at least?
I saw
that was probably one of the best games I've seen so far yet.
I saw little bits in the background. That was it.
Come on, man.
Okay.
March Madness.
I can't lie. I didn't see a second of March Madness.
So you don't have a bracket, is what you're telling me.
I didn't even fill out a bracket this year.
Yeah, I didn't fill out a bracket this year. I've been swamped with football stuff. I mean, even in the off season, it's actually been busier than in the season.
Well, I love that, Ben, because on this show, football is not dead. We talk NFL as much as we can.
That's right.
I don't know what's gonna happen in May and June and July. we're gonna figure it out. We're gonna find somebody to talk NFL and college football in this room. We're gonna make it work.
All things being equal, the AFL players report April
The
1st.
The UFL or
the AFL, the Arena Football League. It returns this year also. So all the players report April 1st. And then, we're 60 days away from the UFL, something like that. So, I mean, even in the slowest time, we're going to have a couple other leagues to check out.
Well, we had so much time spent on the UFL, I didn't even think about the AFL. So thanks for bringing it to my consciousnly, because I wasn't even thinking about that. But you're a former AFL player, so I know it's close to your heart, man. So we definitely be talking about it a little bit. All right, so I want to go into NFL free agency, but I guess it might be apropos to jump into this Clemson, Florida State ACC lawsuit situation. We were talking about it a little bit offline, and I think Herb was going to have a lot to share there, so he'll be sharing it from the comments section, and we'll be taking his points from there. And go ahead, Herb, and go ahead and funnel it through as much as you can, but we'll have Travis kick us off with this, and we'll be, kind of just breaking down what this is about. First off, what are we hearing? What's this really about? And how does this impact both teams, Clemson, Florida State? And if it impacts, well, of course, it will impact the ACC greatly.
Right.
And it could open the door for at least maybe two more teams to follow suit. Because we heard rumors about.
At the end of the day, it's about the teams not wanting to be in the conference anymore because they want more money, and that makes total sense. Sure, cool.
Nope.
Unfortunately, you signed a contract that gave away the rights through 2036. Not great. But we talked about this a little bit offline beforehand. This is a weird situation where they're one of the first two teams to try to sue their way out of a conference, out of a TV rights agreement, and they're not necessarily going about it the wrong way. That's the funniest part about all of this is whether or not they win or lose. That's not even the point. And I think that's where a lot of people are getting stuck in this muck of this process. It's no different than we were talking about the the minority hiring anti-discrimination NFL lawsuit. I mean, that thing was 2 years ago at this point, and we haven't heard anything about it. That's still out there.
Brian Flores
and the rest of it was
like 3 years ago.
It was double-digit coaches, and you haven't heard much about that. You know why you haven't heard much about it? Because it's such a slow-moving process. It has not even reached the full point of the discovery phase, which is the part where they start doing depositions of coaches, depositions of NFL owners, and all of those ugly, mucky things that no one wants to be in the public eye. And I do mean no one from any of the teams, the organization, etc. That same type of situation happens here. So Florida State files a lawsuit in the state of Florida because we have sunshine laws, which is basically transparency laws. So we have to have everything be public. That's why Florida State wanted this thing to be fought out in the state of Florida. Meanwhile, ACC, they wanted to be fought out in North Carolina because they wanted to be quote unquote hidden. They wanted to be a sealed record. So those are kind of things that they're fighting behind the scenes, not necessarily public, but it's kind of public because, until they can get a ruling on whether or not it's going to be public information. That's why the ACC kind of files that secondary lawsuit in both cases, once after they were sued or the other one before they were sued. So that's the whole gist of it. It's not about winning and losing at that point. It's simply about, can we get to a point where this is going to be public information and we're going to embarrass ESPN and the ACC network, and the ACC conference into making a reasonable settlement offer so we can get out of this thing for not an insane amount of money, which is what it currently would cost. If we can make it to that point a year, 2 years, 3 years from now, whatever it may be, we technically win. Like, we'll spend a few $100 million on attorney's fees if that's what it's going to cost. If it's going to save us $300 million overall, that's the goal. That's the game. And we don't know where that's going to land because as this currently stands, there just 2 days ago there was a motion to dismiss that was the judge was kind of figuring out how he felt about it in the Florida for the FSU case, and it sounds like that FSU is probably going to win that initial battle. So it's more like FSU's up 21-17 in the fourth quarter. Mm-hmm. It's looking like they're going to win, but it's probably going to go into overtime. And at the end of the day, the ACC's going to be able to refile that lawsuit. That's what it looks like at this current moment in time.
Like the Falcons versus the Patriots in the Super Bowl?
Something like that, but maybe a little bit closer. But that's where we are right now as it stands. It sort of feels like there's going to be an initial win. Everybody's going to freak out with FSU, and then that judge is going to likely allow them to refile that lawsuit after the ACC comes to a second. I say a second vote, but really a first vote because they never voted on kicking FSU out of the conference originally, and that was the issue that's the difference between the Clemson lawsuit and the FSU lawsuit. That's the main difference. Outside of that, it's pretty much identical. So that's the biggest part of all of that is these are county court judges, and you will always get a bad ruling from a county court judge. So no matter what happens, it's probably going to be appealed from either side, and we're not close to getting an end of this unless they settle.
All right. Well,
it's probably a little too early for them to really consider settling. They always want to drag it out until they're at that spot where damning information is going to come.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So I haven't read through this all that much, again, moving the whole time. Right. But, just based on how lawsuits typically work, that's one of those, when it's a big company, they're going to try and lean on the fact that their wallet's bigger than yours. And then once it finally comes to a spot where they're like, okay, now we're actually going to look bad here. Let's just go ahead and wrap this thing up.
Here's
an NDA. Let's call it.
Who has the bigger wallet in this situation, though?
ACC still does.
Yeah. I don't know those boosters, man. That's something.
No, I mean, you're not wrong. Like the school's going to have a ton of money, but the conference controls everybody's money to some degree, right? Because they have the TV contract.
Right.
So but as soon as it's like, okay, we're going to look. Even if we win, we're going to look like the bad guy. Let's just go ahead and NDA and, and then it's just mysteriously gone and something else pops up in the in the news cycle.
Well, it's funny. The ACC is the one who promoted the idea that FSU and maybe Clemson couldn't even buy the TV rights back. They put that in the court documents. Before then, that wasn't even on the table. So they've already opened the door to that possibility.
Yeah, so they already want this to be done, which, hey, that's a win for them.
Yeah, I think the people who, and we discussed this on previous weeks, I think the people who don't want to see two big super conferences, so to speak, and that's it. It's like this doesn't bode well based on what Travis is saying about Florida State. If they win this dust up and they get a chance to make an exit, I don't know if it's going to cost them a whole $572 million, but whatever it is, if they win that, it's like the other guys that are left, like a Clemson, like the U. What's going to happen then? It's like the ACC not going to be that much farther from the Pac-12, and people are going to be trying to get out of there. Before you know, you got these two big conferences. And honestly, I love college football with all my heart, man. Well, behind the NFL, let's be real about it. But I don't know how that looks. It doesn't look like it's a great idea to me right now. I mean, I want competition in the Big Ten because I'm tired of seeing the Wolverines mop the floor with folks the past few years. I want to see some competition. You know what I'm saying? But this right here doesn't seem that it's going to really help with that part. And then you got the SEC that's already competitive. They've always been, really. Now you're going to add more teams to that. And the ACC is going to be like, what are they going to do? Play a season with 3 teams in it? It's like,
I mean, the Pac-12's about to do it.
This was always the end result, though. I mean, and no one wants to embrace that piece of it. And I'm the Joker at this point. I just want to see the world burn. Like I don't care, man. Like this is what it is. Whenever we try to make a regional sport have a national champion, this was always going to be the end result. And then you add money into the equation, and the insane money that we're looking at in these conferences and teams. Yeah, this was always going to be the result. Is once they realized that they can just pool the money together in these super conferences, and the SEC was kind of one of the first ones.
You can't take your eyes off of it.
And ever since then, this was bound to be the end of that train track. That was going to be that collision. It's
no way to avoid it. Yeah, some folks coming in saying good morning to us to start. Mom is in the house. That's her baby boy back there.
You know it.
She's our faithful supporter of the show. Mom, we love you. We appreciate you so much. Thank you so much. And Herb's talking to you over here. What's up, Trav? He said.
Morning, Herb.
Some love. Yeah, man.
Morning, man.
Well, Herb's not wrong.
Wants to go.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be two super conferences. Ultimately, that's what it's going to become. Because
I doubt they're going to wait till 2036 to do it, though. So if they can get it done now, it's probably in their best interest.
I don't know about now, but they might be able to get it done over the next few years. Because again, litigation is not a fast-moving process. We're all going crazy getting updates every few days. But again, like I said, the NFL lawsuit, you ain't heard about that, and it's been 2 + 3 years. You know, somewhere. I mean, this may not be a quick process as much as we want it to be.
Oh, I mean, it definitely won't be. But even if they are stuck in there, like the super conference thing is coming. I mean, they're already huge.
Bro, right? it's already happening.
No, exactly. Well, and I mean, you're going to look at the Pac-12 go away in the next 2 years. Just based on
they can't play a season with 2 teams in it.
Well, based on the comments of their new commissioner, who was part of that leadership force that drove this thing into the ground anyway. But
just give him some props.
She came out and said, best case isn't growing this back into what it was, right? Best case scenario is finding the best path forward for the 2 schools that are still in it. So you haven't even fully accepted the job yet, and you're already admitting the fact that your best case is to get them into a different conference at the end of this. They're going to play out the 2 years because they get all the money from the TV contract they already have. But outside of that, Pac-12's a wrap.
And that's not necessarily the wrong decision. It's just kind of is. Hey man, if your house is nearly decrepit, if it's basically about to fall down, you could try to build it up and hope that it lasts for another 2 years, or you can just knock that sucker down and just rebuild or whatever. I mean, I understand. She's in a rough spot.
In this scenario, though, they're not even knocking it down to rebuild. They're just moving. They're just like, here's the keys. Best of luck. Like, so now at the end of the day, I think they should end up joining the Big Ten because that's where their rival schools win anyway.
Yeah.
Right. Plus, it rounds that conference out to a 20-team conference. So then you could basically have two full divisions, right?
Assuming they want them, yes.
Yeah. Well, I mean, yeah, of course. But I mean, at the end of the day, keeping rivalry games is good for the sport.
So hopefully I'm not mistaken in what I said, but so North Carolina, U, VT, NC State, and Virginia, they're still in the ACC, right?
Oh, Lord, ACC. I'm like,
I think they're still there with Clemson. So right now they have, if you include Florida State, they got 7 teams. They got like 7 teams out there.
Okay, wow. Yeah.
You can't play a season like that. How?
I mean, you can.
Burned out playing each other over and over again.
Nah, that's not how it works. You just end up playing a lot of out of conference games. I mean, that's essentially what the Pac-12's doing.
Yeah. And that's what the fans complain about the most. Oh, you ain't playing your Rob. You ain't playing this kind of quality team. They're playing not Rutgers, but some team.
I hear you, but fans are gonna fan no matter what, though.
I know
what's gonna happen. Like at the end of the day, I don't think anybody's complaining if you're playing a solid out of conference schedule. But if you're playing, right, like if you're playing the nobodies, then and they're out of conference, then who cares? Like,
yeah, like if you're out there playing Tulane and Temple and like nobody cares. Nobody wants to see that game. Nobody wants to see Wazoo go and beat up on Temple 55-13.
Tulane with the stray. All right.
I mean, I wasn't going to name him because they got a guy at least in the top 7 in their quarterback draft. I wasn't going to mention him, but all right, man. Okay, well, Tulane. Tulane's name got dropped. It's all good. All right, well, we got another comment from Herb.
Small schools that get smoked.
All right, Herb, I am an SEC fan, and I hate the idea of 2 super conferences. I don't like what college football is becoming.
It's a pro sport. Like as long as we can finally move past, it's college football. It's not, and it hasn't been for a while. But at this point, the kids are getting paid. They're hundreds of millions of dollars in TV contracts. This is a pro sport, so you just have to embrace the fact that it's a pro sport. College football has died. If you want to see traditional college football, you got to look at D2 at this point.
Yeah, that doesn't feel good.
But D2 was always better because D2 had organization from the start.
Oh,
D2 was not. Yeah,
I don't
D2.
disagree with that.
Yeah, D2 was not forced into making a system on the fly, and just because of the court systems and everything like D1. And that's the biggest part of this is everything's being forced on the NCAA's or college football to kind of create something on the go, and it's obviously having all the hiccups and it's just messy and it's ugly.
I mean, let's be honest. D1 football has always been dumb because it's the only level of football that couldn't figure out how to have a playoff system. Every other version of football, Pee-wee to pro, has
they could have figured it out. They didn't want to figure it out. They didn't want it.
No, that's
all that time you couldn't.
Like every other version has one that works, and NCAA is like, we'll never be able to figure that out. It's like, what are you talking about? You're the only one that doesn't know how to do a playoff.
I'm down with Travis on that. With all the technology and information, that copy and paste.
Right?
do what they did. They didn't do it all the time. That means they didn't want to do it. That's just neglect.
No,
because
exactly
the teams at the top did not want to let that money go out the door. That's what it came down to.
Well,
Fair.
The teams at the top also liked the voting process because there was some serious bias to it.
They were the ones in power. Correct.
Exactly.
Bingo.
I'm not giving that up to no Tulane or any other small school.
All right, Chad. I'm not sure. I'm catching this comment. Can you clarify this for us? We're not on the Major League Baseball yet, so I'm not quite sure where this is. I'm down to talk baseball because I love it too. My first sports love, but I'm not sure where you're going with that one. So help me out with that one, brother, so we can give you some more clarity. If it's a question, I understand your comment. So reach back out to us with that, please. All right, so NFL free agency. Let's get into it a little bit.
No, so I can help you out there.
No what? Huh?
I can help you out with this comment.
Oh,
so number 17 is Ohtani. So he's talking about the gambling thing.
Okay.
So his interpreter was betting on games, was bad at it, and ended up costing Ohtani $4.5 million. So,
I know the story. I'm trying to figure out where did we touch that? I missed it.
No. But that's what he's bringing up is.
Oh, okay.
But so basically, the interpreter was bad at gambling. Ohtani ends up paying this loss bill of $4.5 million, and so now they're trying to figure out, was Ohtani involved in this? Is
sure.
the interpreter's just a fall guy? Because then all of a sudden, does Ohtani get suspended indefinitely? Does that give them an out for his contract? So there's going to be some lawsuits involved in this, and so it is going to be an interesting process moving forward.
Okay. Fair enough. Okay, I understand the entire story. I didn't know. So when did we get there? I must.
Oh no, I mean we didn't, but that's what the reference is.
That's a curious one though, because where's that line between me making the bets through my interpreter versus I'm just covering for my interpreter because I care for him.
Exactly.
I don't know the answer to that question. Hit me. In fact, Chad has another question that we weren't planning to talk about, but since we mentioned March Madness, I think that's where this came from. But he was talking about Caitlin Clark. I'm curious about something with this because I know about the whole Caitlin Clark Angel Reese dust up last year when LSU won the championship. I'm very familiar with what went on there.
Sure.
Everything I'm hearing, it could just be media hype. I mean, come on, we watch TV and hear radio. Stuff is happening. Is this person all time? I don't think she's in an all time great conversation, but it feels like they want us to look at her in that way. Is that what you guys are seeing too?
Wait, hold on. Who do you think? You think Caitlin Clark isn't?
No, I'm not saying that she is or isn't. I'm saying, but if it feels like this is being brought out like she's on like Sue Bird level, and I'm like, I don't know if that's where we are. So
she did set the NCAA scoring record for men's and women's. So I mean, she's going to be in that conversation no matter what. Okay,
she's in an all-time great conversation right now. You're saying?
You set the all-time NCAA scoring record, like you're going to be in that conversation.
Okay.
Whether or not you win or lose, you got to be part of the conversation. I can understand that.
Absolutely.
Okay.
I mean, that's like when you're talking football example, right? Dan Marino is still one of the all-time greats. He won 0 rings.
Fair.
Right? Still in that conversation. Now, you won't say he's the GOAT, but you will look at what he was able to do and be like, that's still one of the all-time greats.
Okay.
All right, Trav.
I can sign up for that. Yeah, that to his point. Yeah, it's whether or not she is or isn't up to me. I mean, it's not.
Yeah.
I don't have a big enough dog in that fight. But
Yeah,
but absolutely, she has to be part of the conversation. She's earned that ticket. Like she's cashed that one.
Okay.
Yeah,
I mean, what you guys are seeing.
I'm with you there. Like, I don't have a dog in that fight. Like, it doesn't matter to me. But when you do that, when you accomplish what she has, you're definitely in that conversation. Now, setting the women's, just outright nailed that one, right? Setting the men's, there's going to be people that argue the other way because Pistol Pete played a year less and whatever, right? So then there's that longevity part, which is the LeBron conversation, right? Is he the GOAT? Because he played longer than everybody. So, of course, he has the scoring title, right? So, there's
Save that for our next space, because we don't have time for me to start touching on that stuff today.
No. I'm just in here. I'm just in here making our audience mad. So
you know how that works. That's gonna be our topic on our space. We're gonna touch that on our next space. It's gonna be hot like fire.
No, for sure. But all I'm saying is whether you think LeBron is or isn't, that particular achievement gives him some of that conversation. Now, I don't think he is, but again, that's a conversation for a different day. But similarly, right, he's outlasted everyone, so he sets that scoring title. Caitlin Clark also did that as far as setting the men's title. But as far as setting the women's, the people that she took down played the same amount of time.
Okay.
So that was a true head-to-head.
I mean, I'm just being honest with me. In this neck of the woods where I am, it's essentially Lady Gamecocks all the time. I don't wear the colors. I ain't riding, but I'm out here, and I got neighbors that are they're rabid fans, and I'm watching them do great things, especially this season. So I'm inclined to look at the team part as opposed to the individual person. But I tell you what. If you guys are saying that you think she should be in the conversation, it is. I'm not here to dispute it. I want to just respond to Chad's question in regards to what his point about watching the game and she's playing against his favorite team.
Herb, you should try and join the show sometime.
Miss you too, Herb. It's weird when you're not here, brother.
Oh man,
it's all good though. All right, so let's go back into NFL free agency if we can. All right, so. Couple of things happened. I don't know if they're a big deal, but I feel like one of these at least is an important story. The Cleveland Browns got Jerry Jeudy. We talked about him off and on toward the end of the season. Wondered if him and Russ had a future together. We know the answer now. It's no. The contract was about 3 years, about $58 million. They guaranteed $41 million of it. So they must have thought he was really great at wide receiver, I guess. Nice little transaction back to the Broncos. On top of that, you got Deshaun Watson, which is something that we've been talking about also. We've been talking about him quite a bit. They added a lot of pieces, and they had a top 5 defense last year consistently. But you're talking about somebody who we don't know who he is because he's not Houston Texans Deshaun Watson. I think that brother's dead. So now we're talking about, okay, so what's left? So we got to wait for him to come back and be fully healthy and see if he can use these tools and weapons that he got out here. Free agent offensive tackle Trent Brown went to the Bengals. It's only on a 1-year deal, but I think that one was significant. I should say, more significant. Not offending the Brown fans. We got friends out here that love the Browns passionately. No offense, I love you. But I think Trent Brown's being with the Bengals, that's a big deal. And what I like about it the most is that he has the capability to play both tackle spots. Right. And that's something that I think the Bengals need, that kind of flexibility, because they haven't really figured the O-line out very well. Matter of fact, it's better than the defensive part. I'll say that in comparison. But having Trent Brown there, if nothing else, if he's not going to come back after this year, at least he'll serve as a mentor to help out some of the guys that are there now. I think they have Orlando Brown Jr. at LT still too. Yeah. So you got to. I mean, he's only 30 years old too. I mean, that's might be older in football years to some people, but not that bad. So he has a chance to perhaps elongate that 1-year deal and help them out a lot, because honestly, if Joe Burrow is not staying upright, their chances go down exponentially. But out of those two deals, you like any of those two for either team? Do you think it's a meh non-factor? Or how you feeling?
So Jerry Jeudy doesn't move the needle. And why I say that is because you don't know what Deshaun is, right? He had
this is no period, but okay.
Yeah, I mean, you could have a complete burner out there. When he comes in for the last part of a season, doesn't look good. He gets a full off season, preseason, all of that. He got better as the year went, but really didn't play very well until the game he got hurt, right? And then you have Flacco literally come in from playing like hot trash in New York and then just living on the couch and is outperforming what Deshaun did. It doesn't make you think anything good is coming this coming season, right? Like you're not seeing a trajectory for Deshaun Watson where you're excited about it. You still don't know what he is, right? Like, you know that Texans Deshaun is gone, right? Because he gets 2 years off, played bad, coming back. So now, say he's the like okay games that he played, right? Say that's the level that you get. That doesn't inspire a lot of confidence because he missed a lot of throws. He played a lot of bad football. So we'll have to see. But adding pieces, like, that team was stacked anyway. I mean, they had 2 good running backs, an awesome defense, a solid O-line. They did have some weapons, and you still couldn't get it done. Adding another guy, I don't know if it matters.
Trav.
And I'm not 100% sure if I agree or not.
I know you, Trav. Just go ahead and just say it.
I don't know that I agree necessarily, because I thought Joe Flacco was just all right.
I didn't say he lit it up. I'm saying he was better.
Well, hear me out. I'm not sure. I'm not 100% sure how much better Joe Flacco truly was. I think Joe Flacco got graded on a curve because Joe Flacco was coming off the practice squad.
So let me clarify what I meant. Let me clarify. So I'm not saying he was like ripping the cover off the ball here. Okay. What I'm saying is he was as good, if not better, than a guy that had been there all off season, preseason, and into the year, than he was not playing football and then just coming in and playing. That's where I have the issue, right? Okay. Like, had he been on a roster the whole time and whatever, be like, okay, whatever. But this guy literally went from not playing with the Jets to not playing at all, and was playing as good, if not better, than what Deshaun was, with an entire offseason and everything to get there. That's where the worry comes from.
So this is the interesting part for me, because I don't think Watson has played well also. And I've said that from the time that they traded for him in the preseason, because that first preseason he played against the Jaguars. So I watched a boatload of tape of him, and I'm like, I don't think he's going to be like, and I said it then, like Travis D. Holmes on Twitter. You can go and find the tweets. Like, I said it then. I'm like, I don't think he's going to be good. And then I watched the Jaguars play against him in the preseason. I'm like, this dude's not going to be good. And from that point on, he pretty much hadn't been good. So I'm on record saying I don't believe he's going to be good or be Houston Texan Deshaun Watson. And he's not been close. ... However, I also don't think he's been as bad as everyone's saying he is, because of those off the field tens of issues.
Escapades.
Yeah. Those off the field escapades. That's a good one. Yes. And I'm just talking about what he's doing on the field. What he's doing on the field was probably on par with what Flacco was doing. To your point, they shouldn't be on par with that contract. But that was what it was. So I'm not going to down him. Like, again, solid games, not blowing everything away, but they can have winning football based on what he did. And Flacco got graded on the curve again because his defense basically saved him. That offense was pretty terrible. The offense was terrible, and there was a lot of bad throws mixed in with just basic catches and the dude's getting yak and just kind of making it happen from there.
Oh yeah, I mean his touchdown to interception ratio wasn't good.
Right.
Like,
So
by no means did I think he was awesome.
But he got the job done, and so Cleveland loves him. I get that. So overall, I think that is going to be a solid team because they're always going to have that great defense, that top 5 to top 7 defense. They're going to have that top 7 to top 10 running game, nearly guaranteed, and it's going to come down to Deshaun Watson just basically not turning the ball over. If he can just play Joe Flacco, protect the football. I mean, that's what Joe Flacco is known for. Hey, just protect the football. Don't screw this up and let the rest of the team win. Cool. You're probably going to be all right. So they're going to be 500 and better just based on that. You get Deshaun Watson.
I hope Chubb is healthy.
Man, Deshaun Watson, you get 1 to 2 plays out of each game, and you're probably going to win 1 or 2 more games just based on that. Like, you should be over 500 and fighting for a playoff spot already.
Yeah. In fairness, both of these quarterbacks were out of commission for different reasons, so we got to factor that one into. Mm-hmm. Somebody was injured for a while, and basically the NFL's version of can't get right. So that's different than being on a couch, chilling because you don't have nothing else to do. It's not really the same. But I don't know, man. And to your point about the running game, I don't know how much you guys like Jerome Ford. I'm not. He all right. I don't know where I'm at with this. We need Chubb. If you want to have a real chance of doing something, you need a healthy Chubb throughout the season. They got Deontay Foreman because I think they already knew that Chubb might not come into the season 100% because of his injury. That's why they got Foreman coming in. So that while Judy came over, I guess they felt they needed somebody to bookmark Amari Cooper, which is I have a question about that, but I don't think we have the time to kind of get into it. But I'm kind of just wondering who you guys think he is. But that might take too long answering that question. I don't want to ask. But we might need to move on off of that one. But free agency wise, we're kind of in the post free agency frenzy now. They have an annual meeting, started them yesterday. So we're gonna be talking about next week. Next week we're talking about more of the rule changes and also that's on the table. Out of all that you saw, are there 2 teams you can name right now between both of you, Herb and Raj? Please chime in on the comment section too as well. 2 teams that you felt like did some really good things, what they did, how things going to impact their season. Just 2 things that I guess 2 things on 2 teams that would. You can go ahead and go Jaguars. I know you're going to do that. So
you already know I got to go Jaguars, even if I don't necessarily.
I don't blame you. You know why? Because you got 3 guys that I think will dramatically impact your team in a positive way. You got to do it, brother. So I don't blame you.
All right, so I'll leave them second. But for the first team, I gotta go with the Atlanta Falcons, right? They signed Kirk Cousins. They signed Darnell Mooney. They already had a good running game, offensive line, promising tight end. Like we knew that the Arthur Smith destruction tour was finally put to an end. So now I expect their defense to take a step back, though. I mean, they lost Ryan Nelson to Jacksonville, and they were primarily or nearly exclusively a man coverage team. Whether it's match zone, but that's still basically man. I have to assume they're going to run more straight zone under Raheem Morris and Jimmy Lake because that's what they did with the Rams. So that might be a rougher transition than most people think about, unless they truly do something they're not used to and going and continuing to play man. I just don't see that happening based on what they did in Los Angeles. So outside of that, but offensively, I think that it's got to be Atlanta just finally getting a quarterback after the last 2 years they've been trying so hard to. And obviously, I gotta go with the Jaguars, even if I don't agree that that's necessarily true. But the bringing in Mitch Morris from Buffalo over Luke Fortner, who was the Jaguars center, is going to do so much to all the Travis Etienne fantasy stock that's out there, like to the moon, because they just could not run between the tackles all of last year, and it was even a problem going back to portions of 2022, like because Travis Etienne getting hit behind the line, like his 1 yard carries were through the roof even then. So we all knew that going into the season, hoping that Luke Fortner was getting better. He didn't. They brought Mitch Morris in. What's great because the Bills were ridiculously successful running behind Morris.
Absolutely.
Like 4.8 yards to carry, running right behind the center. Bring that dude.
That was a fine right there.
Cool. Yeah, so I'm fine with that. He doesn't have
the other guy you got from Buffalo.
Yeah, and then we got the other guy, Mr. UCF Gabe Davis. So I'm a UCF former football player. So when you bring a UCF player, I am so biased. I don't even care. I don't even care. I don't have to pretend I'm not. So I'm a Jaguars fan, but also I cover the team, and I'm a former UCF student and football player.
I get it.
You bring in, I'm here for it.
Yep.
I will give him all the excuses for all the drop passes. I don't even care, and the season ain't even started yet. It is what it is. Everybody needs to know. So Gabe Davis, bring him in from Buffalo. You bring Mitch Morrison from Buffalo also, and you bring in Arik Armstead from San Francisco. One of probably the best free agent addition that Trent Baalke, Jaguars GM, has ever made. And I don't say that lightly. Like, I think all of Jaguars media is in agreement that this is probably his best free agent addition, point blank period.
I like all three of them.
Shore up the offensive line, shore up the defensive line, and bring in a contested catch guy who is able to block and allow your running back to get to the edges more often. Bruh. Make running backs great again. I am here for it.
I like all three of them, bro. They did great. Those three guys are gonna be a big help. I don't know. I know how you feel about Trevor Lawrence, but
I just don't give him all the passes that everybody else does. It's not that I like Trevor. To be clear, I like his play, but I'm going to hold everyone accountable because I'm not a fan. I watch film. I break down film. I am a former player. I might not be an NFL player, but no, I have high expectations, and I'm not going to give you a pass just because you have a bad play call or bad coach when you have audible authority at the line of scrimmage. Come on, man, do better.
Well, and I don't care what
you want Mac Jones back there, though, right?
If you're not hit and you drop the ball, like, that's not good.
I had to ask you, bro. I mean, Mac Jones is backup. Would you rather have him? I mean, I was just
doggone, you know, doggone well. That's like saying, would you rather
honestly, I don't know that. No, I know what I wouldn't do. I'm asking. I don't know what do you like Mac Jones? Do you think it was a good idea? You like him?
Sure. He's better than CJ Beathard, in my opinion, probably, especially running a new, simpler offense with an actual offensive coordinator calling plays.
That wasn't my question, though.
He's not. That's not the competition, though. The competition is not between Trevor Lawrence and Mac Jones. The competition is between the backup CJ Beathard and Mac Jones. So what you're asking me isn't the real question. CJ Beathard last year of his contract.
As long as it gets put down.
Well, yeah, Mac Jones is put down. I feel better about Mac Jones than I feel about CJ Beathard. Same question.
We're gonna let that one ride on the boat. Come on, baby. What you got, brother?
Yeah,
who you got that, man?
I completely agree with you on Atlanta. Like, I like them finally getting competent quarterback play. They got a new coach who's going to remember Bijan is on the roster. Like, I feel like this is going to go the right direction. Right. They're in a division that isn't strong. So I feel like they can, they'll be a playoff team like that. That's the way that looks. The other one, I really like the addition of Henry to the Ravens. That for a team that already led the league in rushing last year, despite the fact that they decided they just didn't want to do that in the playoffs for some reason. But that's not a team issue. That's a coaching problem. But I like that addition of Henry there. Because I can't imagine being a corner and you got to pick on an option route if you're going to go try and end your career tackling Henry or Chase Lamar. Like that is going to be that's going to be a scary combo. And as much as people bag on Lamar, his passing accuracy has come a long way from when he came into the league. So he is an efficient passer at this point. So, I mean, even if you get that run game blocked up, he can throw the ball. So it's that's going to be a fun team to watch.
I love it. All right. So we're trying to concede that Herman Rodgers to get their but they're hanging out right now. I don't know what's going on. It's all good.
Three people.
It's all good. Yeah, it's all good. The show can hold more than three people. Trust me on that one. We tried it. We've been on shows. Matter of fact, the three of us been on shows where they had like 10 people on the show. It's possible. It's not a big deal. All right. So there's a few things that's possible. Well, I've already shared that in more ways than one with you guys both. But I like the Texans and what they did. I was pounding the table for them all all last year, not because I'm a Texans fan or anything. I got no ties. You can say I got a cousin out there. That's pretty much it. But I just love what they were doing. I love what coach was doing out there. And they went ahead and added Danielle Hunter to the squad. And it's like, okay, pass rushing is not going to hurt them. That's going to be definitely helpful. And they added Joe Mixon. Now, that's not a name you hear a lot unless you play fantasy football. You don't hear a lot about him. He just goes out there and just does the job. It's kind of low key, but it's effective. And I don't know if Texans want Tank Dell to be a wide receiver or running back or keep on doing this hybrid thing that they were doing, but having Mixon there stabilized some things for them back then. I think CJ Stroud was cheering when he heard the news. I'm sure he was very, very happy. So they got tackle some main needs, cover both sides of the ball by signing them both. I like what's going on. What does that mean for the division? Too early to start going that route, but they put themselves in a good spot based on where they were from last year. This is an easy one, but the Chiefs and Chris Jones. We talked about it a couple of weeks ago. It's like, man, these guys already got a wealth of riches for the most part anyway. I mean, wide receivers are definitely in need there. I'm not sure that Hollywood Brown fixes what I was seeing. But that's my personal opinion. That's just one person with two eyes. You guys got eyes of your own, but I don't know. It kind of feel like they already have some stuff like that already. I mean, I like Rashid Rice a lot. I love to see him develop more. But the Chris Jones ad, that was a big deal because we saw what happened when he was out. Look at the number. Look at the team's defensive efficiency. You can see Chris Jones makes a difference on that team. So it was good to get him locked in, so there's no problem that he ain't thinking about his contract. TBD on the Marquise Brown part of it, but I mean that's just a couple. I mean we're kind of limited on time, but there's plenty more I can talk about. But anything else you guys seen? Just real quick before we move on.
I mean the best team got better. I mean they lost Snead, but they're probably going to be able to make that up in the draft, more likely than not, because they were already a really young secondary anyways. That's not great. For the rest of the NFL, when they had their worst offseason and they bring in Hollywood Brown, they probably would grab a corner and a wide receiver in this deep draft. Yep. I don't feel great about that from any other NFL team. So yeah.
I'd love for somebody to come inside here and make a fight out of it. You know what I'm saying? I thought the Niners were going to do that, but they bread and butter. They decided, you know what? It's been working for 17, 18 games. Let's try something different on the biggest stage and not run the ball. So I'm just kind of tired of seeing stuff like that because it lends credence to the people who believe the NFL is rigged. I was talking about it this past weekend. Even if you don't think it's rigged, that's not really the point. But the people who are talking like that, this kind of stuff doesn't help. It's a notch on their board when that kind of stuff happens. These guys have been dominating via the run. Like I said, 17, 18 games. You go to the biggest stage of them all where the run was working early on in the first half. Had the Chiefs on the sidelines fighting each other, pushing and shoving and cursing each other out. Had them on the ropes until halftime. And you come out of the half and you decide you ain't going to run no more? Really? So it lends credence to the idea, you know what? Something is kind of fishy, but I hope, to your point, Trav, that this is not a thing. And if somebody come out here and put some fight to them, I mean, the blueprint's right there. They kind of showed you that, what to do. But
there's something that could be in the air is simply that people got that lemon booty. Like whether it's Lamar with the audibles at the line or whether it's the OC, somebody got a little tight and started doing something that was out of character. That's not something that anyone is foreign to. If you've played sports, you know what I'm talking about. You hit that free throw line, somebody who's a 95% free throw shooter, and all of a sudden the booty cheeks get a little too tight, and all of a sudden it's off the side of the rim. And that's all I'm saying is these things happen. You make bad decisions when you're under anxiety. I don't know what to tell you, but I'm sure they went back and was like, now you got to keep your calm, you got to keep your cool, and make the right decisions. But it is what it is. But so I can even today I don't know if it was the OC versus Lamar. No idea.
Oh, if you think he was just checking out everything, I mean, it's possible.
That's the old Jay Cutler situation. That was why I used to hate him before. I was always Jay Cutler and Dang, the old quarterback for the Saints used to always do the same thing. Not Drew Brees, but the more recent one, Derek Carr.
Oh,
It used to always do the same thing, and I used to be pissed because you can see it at the line. I'm like, he's checking out everything. Like, there's no way that a run wasn't called in that situation, and that's why I say I'm like, I don't even know if it was the OC, if it was Lamar, but somebody was out of character in that game, and that in the second half, and that sucked.
Yeah. All right. So we about 10 minutes out, and it looks like Herbert Roger. Hope your guys are all right, man. This is uncharacteristic. But I want to take a few minutes or a little bit to kind of touch on the best landing spot for the free agents as a left. There's no way we getting this done today, so we're going to definitely touch on it within the next couple of weeks too, because there's too many guys out there. I think my last count, I had like about 10 that I thought were relevant. There's still more outside of that. Yeah. But just on top of your head, just one and your reasoning for it. One remaining free agent and where you think they should go. So we kind of playing fantasy a little bit, but I think it'd be fun. What you guys thinking? You want to have a short list of the free agents, or do you?
Well, I mean, I'll do one. It's a little bit of a homer pick.
I know who that is. Go ahead.
Quandre Diggs is still a free agent. And that's a surprise for a multiple-time Pro Bowler who was good in the Seattle defense. As it sits right now, Seattle still needs a safety, right?
Yes, sir.
But there's a lot of teams that need a safety, and he is fast. He plays well, in kind of a zone hybrid defense. So, I mean, I was surprised that he hasn't been picked up yet. And not even necessarily to the Seahawks, but he just happens to be a good safety. And so that one, I was a little bit surprised to see him still in waiting. I mean, there's definitely players out there like Jadeveon Clowney. That's not a shock that he's still floating around because he's so inconsistent when it comes to gameplay. It's why he's bounced around the league. Like when he was coming into the league, you're like, okay, this guy might tear something up. But just for whatever reason, his numbers have never supported what he looked like he was going to be coming in. So him still being kind of on the sidelines a little bit does make sense. I feel like he's going to be one of those guys that gets picked up as the year starts. But Diggs, I was surprised. I thought someone would have picked him up, especially because Seattle's still paying him anyway, right? They cut him with a decent cap hit. So any team should, in theory, be able to pick him up relatively cheap because he's getting paid by the Seahawks anyway.
Yeah. I'm wondering if it has anything to do with just maybe the age. I mean, I know he's 31. I'd love to see him with Indy. I mean, because they don't have a solid safety back there, and they got, I mean, solid meaning just accomplished as far as experience and time in the game. Yeah. So they got a young secondary back there. I think he'd be a great mentor to him.
Yep.
I don't think it will cost you. I don't think it will cost you. It might even cost you more than 3 and 33 to bring somebody like him in over there. I think that'd be a really good spot for him. Mm-hmm. I mean, they need the experience back there. I think he would bring it. So I'm kind of shocked by that as well. I think maybe him being 31 is playing a part in this because we watched him in Seattle. I mean, he was helpful.
Yeah, no, he was good. No,
he was really good. So
he was a cap casualty in Seattle. It's not like his gameplay dropped. He was just too expensive for him to stay with what they had. So, but the fact that they're still going to pay for, I think they still owe him like 13 for this year anyway. So another team should, in theory, be able to get him relatively cheap.
All right, good. Try real quick.
No, I'm probably going somebody like Xavier Howard going to Kansas City. After losing Snead, I think that will be a solid addition that wouldn't break the bank. Like he's not going to be anywhere close to Snead's money as far as that's concerned, because of his age. So I think that would be a much easier, waiting for them to cover that hole and then be able to do whatever they want to do as far as the draft is concerned. Draft and develop. Outside of that, probably somebody like either Justin Simmons going to Buffalo or maybe Jadeveon Clowney after the draft going to Jacksonville.
Buffalo.
Oh, okay. Clowney to Jacksonville. Like Clowney's good if he's not the centerpiece. Like if he is an additional piece, he's okay. Like if he's got to be that dude, he's just not consistently that dude.
No, I fully understand, but that's what you need. You need a third guy. Maybe you can push Trevon Walker inside, and now all of a sudden you only got to give him 60% snaps and keep him fresh all season. But that's a sales pitch you're going to have to make to him because the Jaguars failed at that same sales pitch last year when they had a chance to sign him before he signed elsewhere. But now, why did you disagree? Come on, why did you disagree? Simmons.
Well, I feel like Buffalo, and this is more of the conversation that we would have had if we had more time about the championship window closing. Yep. So I don't want him to go over there.
Oh, no, that's funny. That was my answer for NFL for championship windows closing. Buffalo.
Yeah, but we're gonna go
mine too. Yeah,
that was he's been rumored to go to the Eagles. I don't want that either, obviously. Dang. I look him to come to us. I mean, like the money thing ain't working right now. We're gonna cut some people to get Simmons in there, but he's just sitting like it's like some this rare gold coin. He's just sitting there. Anybody's saying like, "Oh man, that's so shiny." Nobody's going after him. Like, come on, man, he's right there. Get him. He'll help you. But Chad said, "I'm still waiting for my Steelers to sign Tyler Boyd." All right, brother, you keep waiting on that. Urban Ross said, "Not a free agent, but I want to see what happened with T. Higgins." Yeah, that's we ain't got no time. But I heard you come the last 5 minutes.
Man go.
Now, the Buffalo thing, their window closing is Indiana Jones reaching back through a door for his hat. Like there's still a chance, but man, it's small.
I said that window ain't closing. I said that window's closed, and the mutant called Pat Mahomes has effectively closed that window. I mean, they wasted Josh Allen's whole first rookie contract, and now they actually have to pay real money.
Ain't no spoiler alert. It is closed. We can talk about it next week. We're gonna talk about it next week, but it is closed. I mean, you can't say it's not. How many bites of apple you think you're gonna get? It is closed.
Man, how many bites of the apple did they take? They didn't get anywhere.
I know,
but that's the point. That you didn't get anywhere when you had your version of the mutant on a rookie contract, and now you're gonna get better because you have to pay him 5 times his original cost. Nah, bro, they ain't had a game work.
Yeah, well, I thought this last year was gonna be their last like true year, and then they played super inconsistent. But because they have a mutant, there's always that small chance, right? Because at the end of the day, you got to go on a 4-game run as long as you get in the show, right? And is Josh Allen good enough to do that? Sure. Does he have a little bit too much Brett Favre where he's going to turn the ball over in one of those games? Probably. But you can't rule him out, right? Because there are those guys that'll get it, hot for a few games at the end of the year at the right time.
Well, the AFC East is going to be interesting. That's for sure. We ain't going to talk about the Jets because as far as most people are concerned, it seems like when Rodgers come back, they're going to run it. Okay, sure.
Yeah, we'll see.
The Dolphins, let go one of their top guys. I know it was money related, but man, you don't want to lose somebody like Wilkins. So it's like you got all these things in play, and then you got the Pats who are, I don't know what they're going to do. They're rebuilding in the best sense of the word. So there's opportunities there. Honestly, I don't even know how the Bills even did what they did. They were mercurial the entire season. I'm talking about up, down. I mean, it was like a roller coaster ride, man. I mean, they play a team they should have demolished, and they would get blitzed. And they would play a team that they shouldn't, that should be challenging, and then they'll win that game. I'm like, I don't know who they are, so it doesn't seem to be getting any better. You lose the main guys. I'm watching Diggs the whole time. I'm like, he knows something that we don't know. He's seen something that we don't see.
I said it all last season, man. Buffalo was Bitcoin. Like, you don't know where they're gonna land. They all over the place, bro. They to the moon. That's it all year.
Absolutely. So we'll see. But I don't want to get no Justin Simmons. That's just a waste. He's just wasting time. Because next year, Diggs probably ain't gonna be there. And matter of fact, besides Von Miller, I'm not even sure who's even back there. And I got to go look and see. But besides Von Miller, I don't know who's even back there. You ain't going to be happy going there for the next, 3-4? Just don't even do it. Go somewhere else. Because these guys, like Trav and Bo, said it very eloquently, the window's closed. And I'm in agreement with that, man. So here we go. All right. So we're at the end of the show, man. Let everybody know where they can find you guys. And we'll shut it down.
on you, Bo.
All right. You can find me here every Monday morning and, of course, on my channel at Football-Talk and Roku TV 5 days a week.
Let's go, baby.
There you go. You can find me on all the socials, Travis D. Holmes. You can find my writing covering the Jaguars at bigcatcountry.com, and our podcast with myself and student of the game, Kyle Nash, the Duval Dive Jaguars podcast, wherever you get your podcast. 11:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time on every Friday.
Oh, man, I didn't know that. Tag me so I can watch you guys. I didn't know that.
Yes, sir.
Cool. All right, and Herb and Raj Pocket, they can't chime in right now, but they're on YouTube, Twitter, Facebook every Tuesday evening at 9 p.m. EST. And you can find them at Raj_Herb. Check them out. It's a fantastic podcast. They do college football primarily, but they love football just like we do. So they got a fantastic show, great following. Please jump in and join them. And of course, wherever you are and how you're hearing, they call me Mr. U, the podcast. Thanks again for listening. Please like, share, and subscribe. And guess what? Go Jags.